We've talked in previous videos about redirecting output at command line, primarily in the context of using the right arrow, which redirects output from the screen to a new file. In this video, we'll look at another form of redirection, the pipe, which allows you to take output from one command and redirect it or pipe it as input for a subsequent command. This allows you to chain commands together into a sequence so that you can perform a series of operations on a piece of input with a single line of code. The example files I'll use here are the same ones used in the video compressing and archiving files at command line, and a link to download the files is pasted in a pinned comment on this video in case you want to use them to follow along. The pipe command is represented by a single vertical line, which is found here on most keyboards. Sometimes the keyboard instead shows two stacked vertical lines with a space in between. Let's take a look now at how the pipe works. In my directory, I have 12 files. I've listed them here with the ls command. With 12 files, it's easy enough to count them up and know how many are there. But imagine there were 1,200 files in this directory, and I wanted to know how many there were. One way to do this is to use the right arrow, which we saw in the Introduction to Command Line Computing video, to redirect the output of ls to a file. We'll call that file workingdircontents.txt. I'm specifying that I only want ls to list the files that end in .csv. That might seem a little odd here since all the files have that extension, and seemingly we could just use the star by itself to get the same result. But it turns out that when you use the right arrow to redirect the output, the order of operations is to first create the file the output will be written to, and then execute the command. So, if we don't specify that we want to list and count only the .csv files, the workingdircontents.txt file will be included. Listing again, we see the new file exists, and previewing it with head, in this case I'm viewing the first 5 lines, shows that when output of ls is written to a file, each file name is written to a new line. This means we can apply the wc command with a -l argument, which specifically prints the number of lines in a file, to get the file count we're interested in. This is a perfectly valid way of getting the number of files in our directory, but it's not the most efficient way. Instead of the 2 steps we just used, redirecting the output of list to a file and subsequently running the wc command on that file to get the number of lines, we can utilize the pipe operator to directly use the output from the first command as input for the second command and skip creating the intermediate file altogether. This is called piping the output. For example, ls*.csv pipe wc-l gives us the same result. We did it in a single line of code, and we didn't have to create a new file in the process. Here, creating the file isn't such a big deal, as it's small. But as you continue with command line computing, you'll run into scenarios where those intermediate files you'd need to create might be much larger, and not writing them to disk or saving them can be pretty helpful in terms of conserving hard disk space. In addition, you're not limited to a single pipe. For example, we can use 2 pipes to see the number of lines that are returned by the head command in its default state by piping the results of the list command into head, and then piping the results of the head command into wc-l. The fact that head prints 10 lines by default might not be the most exciting thing you'll learn today, but it works here as a simple example of multiple pipes. The pipe operator can go a long way toward making your code more efficient in the sense that it allows you to write less code to achieve the same results. It can make your code easier to read and interpret, and it can help you avoid creating a lot of unnecessary intermediate files as you work. One of the many places I find myself using the pipe operator is in the context of working directly on compressed files. Check out the video Working with Compressed Files at Command Line for details on that.